Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about perfect days as you get older and what would constitute a perfect day for you, especially if you're like me and constantly battling one health problem after another. What would constitute a perfect day for you? If that's of interest, then stick around. Following a comment from one of my lovely subscribers who asked me what would be my perfect day, it got me to thinking, and this week I have been exceptionally busy. On Monday and Tuesday it was the usual shopping, weekly shopping, so nothing exciting, and washing and ironing. But then Wednesday came and I knew I had to get on with sorting out the 5 cubic meters of mulch that I had delivered on the Monday. It needed to be put around all the beds in the garden, but not only that, I wanted to sort out the lawn that we had laid last year that was promptly ruined by the squirrels digging up all the corners and laying their nuts down. Burying them. So I last year made the mistake of putting a grass seed down that contained rye, and frankly that doesn't look very nice once it starts growing. It's bitty, it's not the right colour, and it's got all these seed heads on them. It just looks messy. So I wanted to sort that out, and underneath the trees the grass had become sparse, shall I say. Again, it seems to happen all the time. So I thought, well, I will sort that out. I'll buy some nice new grass seed without any rye in it, and I would spread that over. I'd also feed the grass so that the roots grow well, and I tried lawn sand for that, although I have got some iron powder that I can mix up and spray, but this time I've used lawn sand in the hope that it will confuse the birds into thinking that I haven't put seed down underneath. However, there are still a couple of pigeons growing fatter by the day from eating my grass seed. That said, on Wednesday I got up full of determination. It couldn't ever be my perfect day because I have health issues to contend with. So that said, I put on my back brace so that it wouldn't give me the pain in my back that I normally get. And I put on my I sound really decrepit. I put on my support socks because they help my Achilles tendons. And I went into the garden complete with my big wide-brimmed hat, my darling boy's shirt done up right to the collar, and my dungarees, and I set about working. And that started off a brilliant day. I started off the day, Wednesday, by getting my ladder, getting my shovel, which is heavy on its own. I really should try and get a lighter one if I'm going to do this forever. I got those, and I got my wheelbarrow, and I made my darling boy pump up the tyre because, you don't need anything else hampering your efforts. So I did that, and throughout the day I was back and forth onto the ladder, digging out the mulch. Now, had that been a perfect day, I would have spent a good couple of hours or so walking around the garden centre. That would be my perfect day. And I wouldn't have had any pain in my heels or my back or my neck. But I would have gone to the garden centre and I would have found some Australian tree palms because I love those. And I would have also got some topiareed bushes that look like clouds. I would have got a few of those as well, if money were no object. And I would have purchased them and brought them home and then marvelled at their beauty. I do like an architectural plant I do admire them. They bring so much to the garden, and then once you've got them, they require very little from you, especially the tree palms, the tree ferns. They just require a little bit of coddling in the winter and wrapping up. I've had one before and it's just beautiful. If I liked hot weather, I would have lived in a country that had all of those plants naturally, but I don't, because I don't like the heat. That said, I would have gone to the garden centre and I would have spent an absolute fortune on all the plants that I covet. I didn't do that. I didn't do that because I think my darling boy would have had a fit. So I carried on that day, back and forwards, doing this emptying of this mulch, and by the end of the day I had emptied it, and I felt really pleased with myself. I must admit I was very tired. So I came in, I think it must have been about 7 p.m, and by 8 p.m. it was dark, but I'd had a lovely day, and I sat down and I said to my darling boy, I've just had the loveliest day. The trouble was that once I sat down, I found it very difficult to get up again. I mean, when did this happen? When did suddenly you become old? I didn't see it coming. I don't like to give in to things, especially I don't like to give in to my body. When my body is saying, hang on, stop, I don't want to do anymore, I think, oh, come on, just a bit more. And I carry on. Or I don't sit down in the first place because I know that if I sit down, I'm going to seize up. I mean, do you get that? Do you seize up once you stop and sit down? Do you seize up? Because I do. So that was my first day. But I had got a lot done. I'd emptied one of these blinking bags full of mulch, and it was in heaps all over the front garden. I haven't spread it around yet because we're expecting the men from the irrigation company to come out, and I want them to change the pipes that feed the grass, that feed the beds. So they need to be able to see them. I need to be able to see them, and once they've done that, then I will spread it over and cover it up with the mulch, and hopefully the foxes won't then eat the hose pipes, which they've done around and about the garden, which is very irritating because frankly none of the water flows properly then. So the next day was pretty much the same. However, what I had started to do was patch up the areas of the garden lawn that had no grass on them because of the squirrels again. So I seeded the lawn and with my spreader, then that broke, and then I started to sieve the mulch. And you know, if you've ever sieved mulch, it is a long process because you've got to, there's so many, if you buy mulch, it's not usually fine. There's tiny bits of wood in it or bits and bobs. What you want is fine mulch that will allow the seed to grow up between it. So I had to sieve it all, and I sat there and I was sieving for, I suppose, about 3 or 4 hours, and then going and spreading it on the areas of the garden that I had, well, I'd laid grass seed everywhere, but on the specific areas that had been mucked up by the squirrels, I'd laid grass seed there. And so I had to put more mulch down. I hope this isn't boring you. So I did that. And that took me up to 8:30 at night, and it was dark. And I thought, I can't really see what I'm doing now, so I'll come in. And I did that again on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And by the end of that, I'd got rid of 3 cubic meters of mulch. And I am leaving the other 2 for once the irrigation men have been. Now, that's a perfect week for me. I love a week where I feel like I've really achieved something that I want to do. My darling boy, well, he's 84, so he couldn't help me. A couple of times he came out when I asked to, and he filmed me, which was a help. But, his back hurts him if he does things, so he's been watching the golf and the rugby this week. But, it does change as you get older. Once you're retired, if you're a gardener at heart, and I am happiest in the garden, it is the place where nothing else matters apart from that little bit of earth right in front of your eyes. Then that is your task, and nothing else comes into your brain. No worries, no stresses, not worrying about I should get a YouTube video out. Nothing at all. And all you are concentrating on is that little bit of earth in front of you, or that 3 cubic meters of earth that you are shifting right now, or things like that. That's where I feel the most relaxed and tranquil, despite all the work, despite all the aching and discomfort that it brought me for the first 3 days. After that, I woke up the next day and I wasn't quite so stiff, and things were a little bit easier. So, my body was adapting, and I was pleased about that. But the thing is, when you're older, you might not be older in your head, but your body tells you to slow down, and I find that really, really, really irritating because I don't want to listen to it. Do you have that? Do you listen to your body? Or are you like me and somewhat driven to ignore it? And then this week, thankfully, I worked through it and things got better towards the end of the week, and I sped up and I got even more done. However, sometimes it doesn't, and I just come to a complete standstill, and then I'm really, really, really upset and I feel frustrated. But nobody tells you about that when you're aging. I look at all the AI pictures of the retired handsome man and the retired beautiful woman, and they're doing this, that and the other, and goodness knows what else, and skiing and going on a boat and all that. But I don't think that is really real reality. I think things happen. People get autoimmune diseases, they get arthritis, they get all sorts of things as they get older, and they are limiting. And then we start to feel dissatisfied, and that is difficult. The other thing I'd like to say is that I've been watching Tracy Life in the Wild West, and I've noticed that she has only got, as of today, 15 more subscribers to get to her 1,000, which is enormous. It's fabulous. If you're not subscribed to her currently, then would you just give her a little bit of a hand, because that would be wonderful to get her to that 1,000 subscribers. Then all she's got to do is work on her watch time hours, which are gigantic. 4,000 is a lot. It would be wonderful to give somebody so deserving, after 2 years of putting out video after video, that little help over the line. The end of my perfect day would be my perfect meal. Well, actually, I've got 2 perfect meals, and those are penne pasta, previously cooked and then cooled and kept in the fridge, and then reheated with a jar of ragu sauce, the garlic and onion one, over it. Not the whole jar, obviously, because that would just be, too much. But ragu sauce and cheddar cheese all over it. That is sublime. I could, and I have, before I met my darling boy, I have eaten that for an entire week. I mean, the thing is with pasta, unlike rice, you can store it in your fridge and take it out daily. But rice can be dodgy. You can get all sorts of problems with reheating rice, so I wouldn't do it with rice. But pasta, reheated afterwards, makes it a stable starch. So your body then views it as roughage, not as a starch. The same with jacket potatoes. If you cook them and then reheat them, then your body views them as fibre, and it doesn't give you a glucose spike. Now, I saw that on a television programme, and it's true. Often if you go to a restaurant or you have pasta dish fresh, and then you sit there and later on you have this sort of blood shift and you feel really tired, it's because of that glucose spike. Whereas if you cooked it, refrigerated it, or just let it go cold and then reheated it, your body wouldn't give you that glucose spike. It would think it was just fibre. I mean, that's almost a free. So I would have that, and I'd probably have that all week. Or, now I know in America you don't have Heinz baked beans, or I don't think you do, but my other favourite meal of all time would be baked beans beside the toast. And the toast has to be left to go freezing cold, and then I would have tons of butter on it. I mean, the whole thing, tons. I don't limit myself where butter is concerned. So I put tons of butter on the toast, on the cold toast, so it wouldn't melt. I'd heat up my beans in the microwave and I'd put them beside it, and then I'd put some Worcester sauce on the beans to make them a little bit spicy, and then I would cut up my toast into little bits and add the beans afterwards, and with that you get the gorgeous flavour of the butter and the beans and the sauce all together, and it is sublime. Now, I could eat that every day for a week as well. I probably could alternate those 2 gorgeous meals for the rest of my life. However, I have to say that the beans do have certain after effects, so if you're expecting company, please don't take them. My favourite drink is a cup of tea. Not actually coffee. I take coffee in the morning to give me a caffeine boost. But after that, I always drink tea, and that is my favourite drink. I have thought about drinking red wine, and then I've seen so many videos that say that wine and alcohol of any description can cause your body harm, so I don't do that. But I do like a cup of tea. I'm trying to drink more water, But I do like a tea bag with my water, and that's the problem. But I'm trying, I'm giving it a go. What do you like? What are the foods that you like? What are the drinks that you like? Do you have a regime? Let me know in the comments. I hope I'm not the only one to like pasta. And if you have been, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.